Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Creative-ish podcast. We're your host. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Mariana.
And today we have a treat for you guys. We're going to be doing the annual review of our year. We're just going to be talking about how you can do an annual review. And doing annual reviews is something that is very beneficial so that obviously you can reflect back on the year and see what were the things that you did right, what were the things that you did wrong, what things were a little meh, you know, neither good nor bad. And yeah, just see your year from a bird's eye view and just reflect on it.
Yeah, I love this period of time where we can reflect back and look at what happened this year, like you said, and kind of like create a new roadmap for the next year. I think that is the only way that we keep evolving as humans and as business owners is by looking back. And, there's that famous Steve Jobs quote, I think, that says, like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. So that's why doing this whole annual review is so important and so, like, beneficial to your growth and, for you to see, like, what were your patterns this year? What do you want to continue? What do you want to stop? And all of that.
Yeah, so many things we're going to be discussing in this annual review, and we'll be following along our Notion template, the template that we use every year. And you can find that template down below in the show notes if you want to follow along. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that we start off with is the stuff that we're grateful for. And, just start it off in a positive note, in a grateful note, just thinking of all the things that you're grateful for this year. And this can be divided into different categories. So for us, we divide it into people, experiences, accomplishments we had in the year, things we're grateful for, things, we had during the year. We also categorize it in the moments and in game changers. So I think we can give some examples in our own life of some of these things. We're not going to go into each one of them, but I think some things, experiences at least, I'm very grateful that we got to go see Bad Bunny in March at New York City. That was a very fun experience that I'm really grateful for.
And for me, it was Rosalia. I think that was my favorite concert of the year. It was an out-of-body experience for me. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but that concert
was really what? I was starstruck. I don't listen to Rosalia's music that often on repeat, but like the concert was like, I'm starstruck. Like, what?
It
was crazy.
She is
very talented.
Out of this world in the most alien-like goddess form. And I just live for her.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the Bad Bunny concert was also, we flew to New York. That was such an impulse thing, but I want to do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that we had that trip and it was just really fun.
Yeah, and it was like such a cool experience, like not seeing a concert like where we usually see concert and seeing it in a different place that we're not used to. That was so fun. So I'm really grateful for that experience, one of the top. And some other stuff I'm grateful for, like the accomplishments. Well, I guess I'm grateful for launching this podcast. I guess. No, I am very grateful for launching the podcast and some other accomplishments. We launched the template shop this year. Like, I can't even believe that was last year. I feel like that was like 5 years ago.
This year. We're still in this year.
No, yeah. Like,
you can't believe that was this year.
Exactly, because it's like in my mind it was so long ago, but it was actually this year.
The construct of time, I feel like specifically this year has felt like it's flown by, but it's also felt so long. Like, I can't believe that we did, like, we also launched our new website this year.
Yeah,
that was also a good accomplishment.
Yeah, and I forgot about that when I was doing the timeline, which is another section of the annual review. I was like, oh my god, we did that this year.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that did happen this year. So see, that's why it's good to do an annual review, because sometimes we get so caught up in the day-to-day that it's like, we don't see how much we actually did, you know?
Yeah, and that's why this section of like what you're grateful for, sometimes when you're like looking at the results of the year, maybe you didn't see like all the goals accomplished, but you know, giving that moment of gratefulness will really like put you in a happy vibe.
Exactly.
Because, like when you're like in that feeling sorry for yourself, like that is the biggest waste of time. And feeling grateful, I think it's like the best frequency you can be in. So honestly, next year I want to practice more like daily gratefulness.
Yeah.
You used to do the
5-minute journal, and I love it. It's such a beautiful journal, but it's just like I fell out of the habit of it, and always during Christmas time I'm like, I'm gonna get back on the 5-minute journal because they always release beautiful ones, like
yeah, so you gotta fill
new
it up
covers.
quick.
So I need to fill up the one I have so I can buy a new one. But yeah, I love the 5-minute journal, and it's by one of my favorite
Human.
influencers, if you can, a human, which is Mimi Icon, and she owns Intelligent Change, and they have so many cool products like that, like productivity planners and stuff like that. And yeah, she has a podcast as well, but no side note.
Then we have moments or things.
Yeah, then we have things. This year, what things I think we're grateful for?
This apartment.
Yeah, this apartment. I think I'm really grateful. I got a new phone, I guess, because the last one I put it on the wash. If you listen to one of the recent episodes that I mentioned that debacle, so I'm grateful that I got the chance to have a new phone. And then we have moments. So what I like to do in the stuff I'm grateful for moments in that section, I like to put like daily moments that aren't like huge accomplishments or huge things, but rather moments that made me smile, moments throughout the entire year that maybe we did various times or just one time, you know, just moments that made me happy and smile. And I think my favorite moments were when we went to Cafe Regina, you know, and got ourselves some coffee and saw the beach, you know, eating.
Generally our happy place.
Yeah, that is my happy place. And I just love that. And other moments I'm grateful for is our friend Sophie coming over to the apartment and co-working with us. Those moments were just so nice and made me feel so happy. And yeah, what were some moments for that for you as well?
I also loved the period of time where we had our personal trainer and we would go to do the workouts early in the morning.
Oh, those early mornings. Yeah, that was nice.
I loved that. And honestly, just like little moments around this neighborhood, like us doing our walking around the neighborhood because we moved into a new neighborhood this year. So just like exploring it.
Yeah, I loved exploring like a new place. That was also like those little moments that we were just like finding new stuff, and it was like everything was so new and shiny and fun. So that was definitely some cute moments that I look back on with smiles and happiness. And the other category that we have in stuff we're grateful for, or I'm grateful for, is game changers. And these are basically things that changed the game for you this year. At least for me, one of the things is joining Twitter. I know Twitter is not like in the best place right now, but honestly, it was so fun to join Twitter. And every time I go into the app, it's like I learned something new, and I know it's another social media platform, but it was like I wasn't even aware of Twitter. Like,
I think it's just the way that you're able to curate it because you follow just like people that produce educational stuff.
Exactly. Like thought thinkers, thought leaders, you know, and it's just, I just love it. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I have a direct connection, and I don't know. I feel like it's not that saturated, at least with the people I follow. And some of the people I follow on Twitter aren't on Instagram that consistently. So it's like, oh, I get to like consume the content of these people I admire and I enjoy. And that was a game changer for me. You know, I really liked it.
Yeah, and if you don't want to go on Twitter, I think what you can learn from this game changer is just curating your social media better and training the algorithm to show you more of what you do want to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to do that as well, like cleaning out my following.
I think that's a game changer because it was just like starting fresh. It was just like I had no obligation to follow anybody from real life, and it's just thought leaders in there, and it's
People that motivate you.
exactly. It's just like a daily curation. And another game changer for me was, well, for us, was getting our human design charts read this year. That was amazing. That was so cool. And you can listen to more about it in the human design episode, but yeah, basically game changer, this year.
Yeah, definitely. Not gonna talk too much about it.
Exactly.
Go listen to the episode, guys, where we share more about why it changed the game for us and how we apply it to our life.
Then we have the second section, which is what happened this year. So in this section, we're going to reflect about what happened this year, and we divide it up into the big picture and the timeline. So in big picture, we write down like what defined this year. So you can write like for 4 months, for example, for us, for 4 or 5 months, we were developing the template shop. Like that's something that was like big picture this year and that really defined this year. Another big picture thing that is in my annual review is that I decided to launch something new, but I'm not going to talk about it that much. But it was like I finally got clear in another business I want to create. So that was like, big picture vision, because it's like I created that this year and I want to remember that I created that this year. And I just wrote what it was, and I wrote a little blurb about it and how I was feeling about it, and why it's part of the big picture.
We're so
and why it's so important.
that. And we can't wait to share more. But it's so crazy how that whole thing came about and how we came up with the idea. It was just like in a period of time where we felt so lost, or like we were so like hungry for figuring out what was going to be the next thing. It literally took a mental breakdown from my part. And then Kelly was like, well, we just have to do this. And I was like, yes,
That's the thing.
that is the thing. That is the future.
Yeah.
And that's how that idea came about.
Yeah, we love our studio still, obviously, but this is like a lateral move, and it's just like a way that we can use our skills and we can like be more creative, but for us. I don't know how to explain it.
It's just more details later.
But yeah, and also this section of what happened this year, we're also gonna have the timeline. So basically, we're just gonna like you write down all the months, all the months of the year of this year, and then you can write like 3 to 5 bullet points of things that happened that month. Because I feel like sometimes we can get so focused on like, I don't know, the day to day that we don't realize how much we actually did that month. Like when I did this, it was like first of all, I did this year, and second of all, wow, like you forget the things that you do each month, and it's just so nice to like see your year from a bird's eye view and see like the 3 to 5 bullet points of each month, and that is so beneficial.
Yeah,
and so
especially for me, I'm more into like numbers and being on top of the financial stuff. So I was just like reviewing our annual numbers, and it's just so fun to see the patterns and the data that you get from looking at the whole year of like, okay, this month you decided to do this, you were doing this in the business, you launched this, these were the numbers, and then the cause and effect that it had on the later months. So you can, connect the dots, see what worked, see what didn't. So yeah, doing a whole yearly review of where you were putting your time, what did you do,
what did you do each month, where did you go, just like a whole general thing of your life, and if you have a business, well, of your business as well. But yeah, I put some fun stuff in there, like I put in January I broke a tooth. It was such a funny thing, and I want to remember that. I want to remember that for future years, that on January 2022, I broke my tooth.
You had a lot of injuries and medical things.
I put that all in the year, to remember it. I put that all in my review.
She broke her tooth. She broke her coccyx. Not really. But Kelly fell roller skating and then
that happened. But yeah, I got a new nose this year, so I want to remember that. Got a nose.
You think you wouldn't remember that you got a new nose?
I know, but like I see it in the annual review, and it's like when I'm older, when it's 2025, I see this and it's like, oh, I did that.
The beginning of my new phase.
But yeah, I also wrote down like things for me, at least I wrote down things we did on Addie's birthday. You write out that weekend we had fun doing yoga on July. You just write things that you were really nice in that particular month, and you can go as far as to adding maybe a picture or two, like a scrapbook. But it's not necessary. I don't do it, but you could do it in the Notion. Something we learned this year is that we didn't take enough pictures. Yeah, we're not in the learnings yet.
No, but now that we're like, I feel like we didn't have enough pictures to even put on all of these things that we did. All we have is like random horrible artistic photos. I'm kidding. Kelly's whole camera roll is pictures of me where I literally look like a crackhead. I look so crazy. Like, I really hope that those pictures... You don't look crazy to me. Honey. You look great. You have some insane pictures in there. They're funny. They're funny. Sure. Okay. But yeah. Let's move on. Then we have another section that is stuff we discovered this year, stuff I discovered this year, stuff you discovered this year. This year, most of the stuff we discovered was media related. So for example, these are categories. We added podcasts, we added books, we added newsletters in my annual review, YouTube channels / videos, and TV shows. Stuff like that. But you can add a bunch of more other stuff. You just divide it into categories. So you can put like physical things. You can put, I don't know, whatever is related to your life. Like a really nice skincare product. Exactly. You can put products, depending on what type of person you are. Since what we discovered this year was mostly media, that's how we divided it up. So we can start with podcasts. So this year I discovered My First Million podcast. We discovered the Crazy Ones podcast by Morning Brew. We discovered Creative Elements, which was extremely crazy because then we had Jay Klaus, the host, on our show. That happened so fast. We discovered his podcast. We pitched to him and then he got on the show, which was what? So cool. I discovered the OK Sis podcast, which then turned out to be my favorite podcast. It was my #1 podcast on my Spotify Wrapped this year, which then led me to discover the Emotional Entrepreneur podcast, which is like one of the podcasts from the two hosts that are Scout Sobel, like one of the sisters. And I learned so much from it. And then we actually had Scout on the podcast and we got to work with her. So I think that this year podcasting was probably a big theme for us. Then books. Did we read? Yeah. I didn't really finish one book this year. Gosh. Yeah, I didn't really finish. Did I finish? No. I started like 5 books. We bought like 10 books when we went to New York in March at the Strand bookstore, and we didn't we started them, but we didn't finish them. But at least for the snippets we read from some of the books that we haven't finished. We finished The Emotional Entrepreneur. Oh, well, yeah, we finished The Emotional Entrepreneur. Yeah, we found out that book, I guess. Some other books I liked, but we haven't finished, but I'm sure I'll love them at the end. And I'm halfway through them. Is The Courage is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And the other one that I'm reading with Addie, which is, because we like to read books together because bonding, is The Power of One More by Ed Milet. I also almost finished Free to Focus by, I don't remember his name, but it's called Free to Focus. And it's basically a book all about how to manage your time better and how to be more efficient with your time, your productivity. and it was pretty good. And then the other one that I'm reading right now is called E Squared. That is more like a spiritual book all about the universe and how your thoughts create your reality and all that. But that book, I love reading it in the mornings. It just makes me feel hopeful and like I can believe in magic and stuff.
Yeah. And when you write down these books in your annual review and also the podcast and everything you discover this year, you can also write a little blurb about them and why you like that particular book or that particular podcast. I forgot to say that, So just write down why I love this and how maybe you found it as well,
Exactly.
The other category this year for me, I feel like you don't read newsletters.
Yes, I do.
What newsletters do you read?
Haley Hoffman.
Oh, you read Haley Hoffman.
I also read First House newsletter, but they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
And I read Morning Brew sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, this year we added like a newsletter category because I feel like this year we focused on newsletters. Like we just found them and we're reading them. At least, you told me that you're reading the Haley Hoffman one. But every day I love to read the Morning Brew newsletter and the Marketing Brew newsletter, which is something I discovered this year. This year I discovered the brand Morning Brew, and it's like I've been obsessed with it. Like we also have in one of the podcasts, The Crazy Ones, which is a Morning Brew podcast. So it's just a great media company. I love them.
We actually found them through Ellie Abdal's amazing
YouTube
episode that we recalled a few episodes back, where they talk about Alex, the founder of Morning Brew, and how he sold his company for $75 million.
The Deep Dive podcast. But yeah, and another one of my favorite newsletters is by Jay Klaus, the host of Creative Elements, which we had on this podcast. He has a newsletter that's called Creator Science, and so valuable, guys. It's a great newsletter. Yeah, he basically has a lot of insights about the creator economy, about, your life as a creator. And, it also applies a little bit to like being a business. Well, not a little, like it does apply to being a business owner because these days, you kind of have to be a little bit of a creator when you're a business owner. So it's a very valuable newsletter. Another one I really enjoy is The Published Press by Colin and Samir. Also a great one out there, which I discovered this year. Well, I knew they had it, but I hadn't subscribed. Now I'm subscribed. And yeah, basically YouTube channels and shows, you can add those there.
Yeah. I think Colin and Samir, we watched a lot of their YouTube's videos.
And shows, I guess we can mention House of the Dragon, but basically you can put down all the shows that you enjoyed this year.
And next up we have the start, stop, and continue exercise. If you're going to do one thing from any of this annual review stuff that we recommend, do this. It's probably the best exercise that you can do to get into the new year. So let's get into how this actually works. So basically, you can brain dump things that you want to start doing or stop doing or continue doing that you think will help you get to that big vision that you have. So let's say that 2023, you want it to be the year where you accomplish X, Y, and Z, or you want it to be like the best year ever, and like set a why, like set a goal, a specific vision that you want to accomplish, and what are the things that you need to start doing to get closer to that? What are the things that are not helping you get closer to that vision, or that are just not helping you at all being your best self? So what are the things that you need to stop? And what are some things that you think that you have been consistent with, that you've been good at, that are positive attributes of your life and what you do, or people in your life or activities that you want to continue being consistent with? We could share maybe some of ours.
Yeah, I can share some of mine. So one thing I want to start doing, maybe therapy. I've never been to therapy, but I feel like it could be very beneficial, I see the BetterHelp ads. I feel like it could be very beneficial, for overall life.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that this year we've had probably the most emotionally challenging year of our whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so, yes.
And it would have been nice if we had someone to talk about it rather than just the two of us.
Yeah. So I think that's something I want to start next year.
Something that I want to start doing more of. It's not necessarily that I haven't done it at all, but more social time, more interaction with humans, and kind of like just like planning time to do stuff, if you know what I mean. Because I feel like this year we probably hibernated a lot. So next year I want it to be more about going out. Maybe we've been talking about even traveling to some conferences and, you know, just kind of like living life more out of a screen. Like this year, I feel like I lived maybe 60-70% of my life through a screen. So I want to like lower that percentage.
Other things I want to start are like, I want to start spending time alone. Yours is like going out and meeting people, and I'm like, spend time alone, you know, because I feel uncomfortable when I'm alone.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, you know, the silence. I don't know. And so I want to like dive deeper into that uncomfortableness and like feel content being alone with myself as well, and not having to feel like silence with noise.
Social media.
Exactly. Being alone without social media. I don't know what I want.
Try and add in the daily journaling. I think that is the best.
I did a lot of daily journaling this year, but I wasn't like consistent with it every day. So that's what I need. I think I want to start doing as well, like having a consistent day where I just brain dump things. I don't know, morning pages, journaling, 5-minute journal, something that just gets me grounded each day.
And specifically as a creative, clarity comes from silence. Like if you don't give yourself time to be bored or like not doing anything, you're never going to figure out what is the next step.
Exactly. And now we can move on to things we want to stop doing. So I'll go first. I want to stop drinking coffee on an empty stomach. I know it's like horrible. Yeah, I've been doing it. Don't judge me. It's just like I just love the sweet taste of iced coffee in the morning.
I think a lot of people actually do that, but they don't know that it's bad for you. I really don't understand why it's so bad.
It's bad because it I don't know how to say increases your cortisol levels. Like you should wait at least, first of all, you should wait like 90 minutes after you wake up to drink coffee and not do it on an empty stomach, because you know then your stomach hurts. That's what I've noticed. At least my stomach starts to hurt. Personally, if I just eat it on an empty stomach, like for example today I had breakfast before having my coffee, and so I'm feeling good. I don't have like stomach pain.
Yeah. Okay. So something that I want to stop doing is, just doing social media in the morning or looking at my phone in the morning. Like it's such a bad habit, and I feel like sometimes even no social media in the morning or before I go to bed. I literally just had an experience that proved to me like why I shouldn't do this. Because one night I was about to go to sleep and, you know, I had no reason to pick up my phone. And then I picked up my phone and I saw something that made me really sad and that gave me lots of FOMO, and it just ruined my night completely. It ruined my night. I couldn't sleep well. And then I had to do like a meditation after that to like ground my feelings. And I'm just like, why did I did that? Like, so I don't know what I have to do. Maybe I just have to get my phone out of the bedroom altogether so that I can like constrain myself. But yeah, no social media in the morning or like right before I go to bed. And I want to like put a different habit in there, like maybe reading or journaling in the morning and before bed.
Something I want to stop doing as well is going to sleep after 11, preferably 10, but I'm gonna be graceful, you know, because I've been going to sleep early this year, you know, because we've been waking up earlier most of the year. But yeah, definitely just like stop sleeping after 11. Like last night, again, I was watching a show and I just went to sleep like at 12, and I just hate that because then I woke up super late. It's just a domino effect and I don't like it.
Yeah, I think that what would be good so that you don't fall into that trap of like watching a show at night Or, well, I mean, we both do it. Like, if you're watching a show, I'm watching a show.
If you're watching a show, I'm watching a show.
So we should like create an evening routine of like winding down.
We've talked about this so many times.
But we haven't done it.
Exactly. But yeah, these are just like the main things, guys. We have a lot more things we want to start and stop doing, but just to keep the episode short, because we can literally be here for 3 hours.
Yeah. And then continuing,
the number one thing I want to continue is prioritizing relationships. I feel like this year I did a good job. Thumbs up. That was like my number one priority. Like,
was it?
I feel like it was. Like, I was trying to reach out to people and meet new people, or at least maybe not prioritizing relationships, but like
reaching out.
Exactly. Reaching out, going out of my way to try to get coffee dates with people and whatever, without fear of rejection. I got rejected, but I was like,
I think this year we definitely opened up our circle more.
Yeah.
Maybe not even just like friends, but adding people to your network, I guess, of like just people that you can call up and ask for advice or something.
Exactly. And there are so many things I want to do next year. Like, for example, Alex Icon and Mimi Icon, the people I talked about that were the owners of the 5-Minute Journal, they recently had a podcast about networking and all of that. And Alex mentioned a book that he read that was like Never Eat Alone. And it's about how you should always, not you should, but you can try to go out of your way to try to invite people out for dinner or for lunch, instead of just being alone. Even if it's like an acquaintance, if it's not like somebody that's your like friend, quote unquote, and you can still learn so much and you can still have a good conversation. And I think that's something I really learned this year as well, that, you don't have to be my friend. I can casually have conversations with people all around and them still be meaningful. So I want to have the chance to just spark off conversation. And I feel like that's something I've done here and there this year, but I want to continue doing on for the next year.
I think putting yourself in rooms where you feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit unqualified, like that's what I want to add to my next year. Just like we said, going to conferences, being around smarter people that have, been through the stuff that I want to possibly go through.
I think another thing we also want to continue before we wrap it up is to continue eating at home and just going out of our way to make like fun stuff. Like last week, was that last week? That was this week?
That was 2 days ago.
Oh my God. See, time horrible. We made pizza for the first time and that was so cool. So I think I want to continue doing stuff like that. That would be really fun.
Yeah, we've been good at eating at home.
And the next section of our annual review is asking some reflective questions. So in this section, we just have a bunch of questions that we answer. And one of the first questions is, what lessons did you learn this year? This year we learned a lot of lessons.
A lot of lessons.
So we could probably do an entire episode about this. But yeah, we're just going to go through the highlights right now about what lessons we did learn this year.
Yeah, I think that the biggest lesson that I learned this year, 2022, and there's like a lot of mini lessons inside this one. But yeah, basically, I was reflecting on how your business is a reflection of you, but you are not a reflection of your business. And I'll get into like what exactly I mean by this. So you as a conscious human, a living, breathing thing, you have the power to analyze, reconstruct, and completely shift gears of where your business or your life is heading. So don't forget that there is a direct correlation with yourself, how you view yourself, like your self-worth, the identities that you tie into. Maybe you have identities of I'm a slow person or I'm a procrastinator. Those identities completely correlate with how you show up in your business. So this year I really worked through kind of changing the way I think about myself. That was a big thing, and that I have the power to change. So the whole thing of your business is a reflection of you is because you have your hands on the wheel on your business. It's not the other way around. And if your business had a flop, then you have the power to reconstruct, shift gears, and completely move the outcome or change the outcomes. And I think that there were times this year where I had flops, and I let that be about me. And I let that be an identity that was about me as a person, like not being good enough, etc. But, flops happen, and all we have to do is kind of learn from them, learn from why did that happen. And you can always have the power to change and to do better. Don't let those flops determine who you are or what you can be in the future. Specifically, like, don't let that put your potential down, because we can get all up in our heads about like, well, this year kind of sucked because I didn't reach this, this, and this. So probably means that I'm not capable of doing this. There are so many other factors that go into like why things are happening the way that they're happening. And none of them have to do with you not being good enough, because you are a human. Like, you can change, you can improve, you can learn, and you can always take different action and get different results in the future.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing, like tying our identity, like, tie your identity to more positive things. Yeah, that's the way you're gonna succeed and feel better about yourself. I think another thing that happened to me was that I was worrying so much, that I was like constantly worrying, and I realized like worrying doesn't really do anything. And also, like, if I'm gonna make a decision, like, stick to it. Don't just keep dwelling on the decision. If I make this decision, okay, let me execute it and just run with it, see it till the end.
Overthinking is such a waste of time.
Exactly. It's like, I made the decision. Why am I still thinking about the decision? I already did the decision. Let's just move forward with the decision and just
something
forget
that we
about
also
it.
learn is that you will never know if you're taking the 100% right decision. There is no way to know if this will succeed, but you just have to like take the action, and then you'll figure out if that was the right thing. And if it wasn't, if it failed, then
then you learn from it.
You do something different.
Exactly. Another thing that was like a big lesson for me this year that I've already exhausted our listeners to death about, but it's about your network. I mean, I genuinely realized that your network is more important than I realized, at least. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was that important because, we have the internet, but it's like you can build a network within the internet and like communities and be part of so many things that actually help you move you forward and help you get feedback and all those wonderful things.
I think that what we learned is that you need to be an active participant.
Yeah.
Not like just scrolling and liking pictures and sending like little emojis. Like, be an active participant.
Exactly.
And comment,
like engage. Like, I don't know if I'm late, but it was like, I realized that not a lot of people engage. Like, not a lot of people like do the commenting and do the story replies.
Like sending DMs and
stuff.
stuff.
I'm sure a lot of people do it, but it's like, if you do it consistently with a creator or someone that you admire, ultimately they're gonna notice you, unless they're Lizzo.
Something else that I learned this year is that planning is a big way of procrastinating, because we talked about this in the perfectionism episode, which I feel like we have to re-record because there's so much that I want to add. But planning feels so good to me, and it feels so safe because I'm not really doing the plan, I'm not taking action. So I wasted so much time. Not that I think that planning is essential, and if you don't have a plan, you kind of like don't know where you're going, but it's like over planning and overthinking it and seeing how you can like be more efficient with your plan or make your plan better or longer when it doesn't really need that. Like, I learned that I should maybe plan less and do more. Yeah. So those were some of the lessons, and I think that, we have a bunch more, so maybe we could do a separate episode on that. Or actually, Kelly's birthday is coming very soon, December 19th, and we have planned an episode where she's going to share
my birthday reflections,
some big lessons there as well. So that will be continued in that episode. But yeah, then the other question of like the reflective questions is that we ask ourselves, what didn't go well and why didn't that go well?
Exactly. So we just brain dump like, oh, what I really didn't like about this year, or what maybe we improved farther than the year, but maybe in the whole year we weren't really acting on it. For example, like time management. I feel like we finally got the groove last month. You know, I think we're good time managers. I feel like we just extend our tasks sometimes to the amount of time we give them. And I felt like we were giving our tasks maybe too much time, or maybe we weren't focusing on the right things we needed to focus on, or we went too heavy on one area of the business or our life. Like, it's like, you know, how do we find the balance? Like, I feel like in the beginning of the year, it was just like rocky terrain. It was just like, how do we find a smooth road?
Yeah, but it's like we talked about that. Maybe we took some decisions that in the end, we now know that that wasn't the best use of our time. But at the moment, we were just like taking a gamble and hoping that it would work out. Maybe some things didn't, but now we have the hindsight of like, oh, that didn't work out. Let's talk about it and let's see why that didn't work out and how we can like manage our time better next time.
That's one thing that didn't go perfectly well, but I think you did an overall good job. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty. I'm
Satisfied.
I'm good at organizing.
Yeah.
I tell Kelly like I would be such a good OBM, like operating business manager, but I'm not the best at taking the action.
I totally understand. Like, I feel like you're a starter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's why when we have new projects and all of that, like it's easy for you to start them, but continue them, it's hard. But I feel like it's the same. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs fall into that.
And I think another thing that probably didn't go as well is that I let go of like my money management a little. So I want to be better at managing my money and just like being more aware. Like I want to have specific percentages of where my money is going in different areas of my life. So I want to be like more
In your finance era.
in my finance era.
Yeah, I think last year, that's something we did really well. We were like on top of it. But this year, I don't know what happened to us. Like, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, I think I just got lazy at doing
Exactly. We got lazy. We got burnt.
and now we're living the consequences of our own actions. It's
Well,
really it's just that if you're not actively looking at your money and seeing where it's going, it's so easy for you to fall off the wagon. So I made a new spreadsheet and like I have like my percentages and I'm gonna be like super in it and all that.
And it's fun. It's fun. You see, this is why we do the annual review, because then we see, you know, what didn't go that well. And then we can plan and we get excited about the little challenges that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's fun. But yeah, we have other questions. We have another question that's like, what made you feel excited this year? You know, what kept you up at night in a good way? This year, I think the thing, well, right now, it's particularly fresh in my mind. One of the things I'm most excited about is, well, the growth of this podcast and also the new business project that we have in the works. It's literally kept me up at night, but in a good way, because it's like I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do with that.
Yeah, me too. I am very excited about that. And then the next question is, how did you take care of yourself this year, emotionally, mentally, physically?
I think we took care of ourselves very well. Like, at least in our nutrition, I think we were really good with our nutrition.
This year, I did take a lot of action on my emotional well-being because, and I credit this to Haley Hoffman.
Yeah, you did the
tapping.
exactly.
So I think tapping helped me a lot. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, it's like EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. So I am someone that's very emotional. Like I get wounded up emotionally and can easily fall into mental breakdowns. And then the next day I'm like, fine, but I don't want my emotions to feel so
Up and down.
And I think that that's something that has helped me. It's a tool that I use like when I feel like my emotions are just feeling very overwhelming. I do a little tapping and it makes me feel more grounded. And I think it's been a great tool that I've implemented this year. So yeah.
And another question is, Are you happy with who you are? We're not going to answer this on the pod because it's like a little vulnerable. But yeah, you can do it for yourself.
That's just gonna sound like we're not happy with who we are, though. What do you mean? We're too well.
I just mean like it's a personal question.
I think that we are a bit dissatisfied.
I just think this is a great journal prompt, and I feel like it has a lot of nuances, and I'm not sure how I would describe it in a few sentences on the podcast. Maybe we can do another episode about it, but yeah, it's just like something I need to sit down and reflect more on deeply. And but yeah, it's just ask yourself, are you happy with who you are? Are you happy with the way you're living your life? Are you happy
how you're showing up?
Exactly, how you're treating people, just stuff like that. I feel like overall I am happy with it, but of course there's always room to improve. And I feel like there are a lot of things I can improve on, and those things you can list them as well when you answer this question, and just tell yourself what are the things that you're lacking, and
definitely
what action are you going to do to fix them.
Yeah. And this also ties back to the identities that you tie yourself with, and that you can change your perspective about yourself at any moment of time. So if you're not happy, it's okay.
It's totally fine, guys. It's totally fine. Everybody goes through it, especially in your 20s.
Yeah, especially.
That's why when you do this reflection, it's like you're taking quantum leaps in your life, because it's like you reflect and you do something about it.
Yeah.
Rather than just, not doing anything at all.
Exactly.
And the next question is, where are you currently putting your energy? Is where you're putting your energy aligned with your goals? Like, actually reflect on that. See your calendar. And if you don't have a calendar, well, I don't know, just think about it.
And this also has to do with your priorities. So if you say that your priority is to grow on social media, like, is your time reflecting that? Is where you're putting your energy, like, leading towards that thing that you want, that priority? Then if not, then now you know how you need to switch things around. Also, this is why I feel like time blocking is so cool, because you can visually see in your calendar what you spent more time doing.
Yeah. So, and it's also great because when you are doing like that audit and that timeline that we talked about in the what happened this year section, it's like you can literally go back into your calendar and see every single thing you did this month, like every month. And it's very beneficial. Like that's what I did. I went through the calendar and Instagram stories, to be honest, and I just saw what we did particular days, and it was just like so cool to look back on.
And then the next question is, which of last year's goal did you not achieve? Why did you not achieve them? And will you carry them on to 2023? And if not, why?
These ones you really need to reflect. Like, was it because you didn't give it enough time? Was it because it wasn't that much of our priority? Like, what happened that you didn't achieve it? And are you surprised that you didn't achieve it? Like, also ask yourself that question. And yeah, is it a priority enough for you for taking it on to the next year and for it to become a goal for the next year? Or are you just going to abandon that goal and not do it, or leave it on for someday and, not put it as a priority for next year? That's just what we want to do. We just want to see, okay, well, this didn't work. Why didn't it work? Will I prioritize it this year? Or no, not really. I don't want this to be a priority next year, so I'm not going to even put it in my mental space. One thing for me, at least, something I wanted to do this year, but, didn't put the priority, obviously. I wanted to run a marathon, a 5K or a 10K. Honestly, I wasn't picky, but I really didn't do any sort of training. Well, I did do some training, but then I fell off my roller skates and then everything went to hell. But yeah.
You're not working out.
No, I'm not working out right now. I'm not working out right now, but yeah, that's something I think I'm gonna take as a goal on 2023, because I love fitness challenges.
Yeah.
Because it's like when I do it in the future, I'm gonna be so proud of myself. Like, I love things like that is like you have to train and then you have like your big day. Because again, as I've said, it's like the journey, not the destination. And so like that journey of training and like pushing yourself, doing something like every week or almost every day is just, I don't know, I just romanticize that a lot.
Yeah. And I know that you want it, but I feel like where you failed, because Kelly has had this goal for a long time, ever since I've known her, I think. And I think that you fail at like actually making the plan, putting it in your calendar, and then not just putting it in your calendar, but actually doing it. So I think that that's what you need to do. Like,
That's what I need to do.
just make a plan for it and then do it, actually.
Will 2023 be the year? Like, I'm literally putting it out there because my ultimate goal is the marathon. Like, what? And I could even like travel, like do a marathon someplace else. I don't know. That's scary. But yeah, I don't know. I just find that so fun. Like, I just find stuff like that fun, but it doesn't have to be a marathon. It can be like a 10K or something.
Honestly, I feel like that would be so good for you because it's more about the mental
Exactly.
thing. Like, it's more of a mental challenge. Keep going.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And it's like, I don't, because I've done 10Ks and 5Ks, but it's like walked. I want to do something that I run for most of it and I have a good time. Maybe I went too deep on the running here, but that's just my goal.
And then the last question would be for you to ask yourself, what would be the best outcome for next year? And I want you guys to like really think about it and think of like, what is the end result for you? Like, what are you working towards in the project of your life? And what life do you want to live? Like, where do you want to go? What do you want to experience? How do you want to feel? All of those.
Exactly.
It's a juicy question.
Yeah, just visualize your life. Like, I feel like visualization exercises are so powerful and they're really grounding, and I don't know,
they're expanding.
Exactly, and they allow you to see a future that hasn't yet happened. And that's something so beautiful about humans, that we can see stuff that hasn't happened yet. And how can I do that life that is in my mind? How can I make it come to life?
Yeah, and it's beautiful to come up with that vision. And I like to think that this is possible because I thought about it. So it must be a reality somewhere because I came up with this idea. And, you guys, you have everything in you to like make that vision a reality.
Visualization exercises are so powerful, so we highly recommend you think about what is that best outcome.
And then lastly, we have a section where we set like some bucket list goals for the next year, some very ambitious goals or things that would be really cool if we actually did them. I know like Kelly has her marathon.
Yeah, exactly. I have my marathon. So basically when I do this section, it's like I just write down all my bucket list things and then I divide them into 2023 or the next year, and then someday, stuff I don't really want to focus on next year, but it's like, let me at least choose 5 things from that bucket list and then add them to the next year. And if they don't happen, well, then it's fine, but it's like, it's gonna be a priority, or I'm gonna try to achieve it next year. And one of those things is the marathon. And another fitnessy goal is like, well, not really. I put it in the someday, but doing like the 75 hard, which is like doing 2 workouts every day for like a year. It has other stuff, but yeah. And other stuff in my bucket list is like learning how to roller skate. If you heard this episode, you know that I got injured roller skating, but I bought a butt pad. Like a pad.
Honestly, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure you're gonna fall through with that.
I'm gonna try. Try because I bought the roller skates, so they're just dying. I need to use them.
We'll see.
I'm gonna try.
We'll come back with that one.
Okay.
And yeah, for me, big things that I want to do next year. This one is business related, but I want to possibly do my first hire, like hire someone that can help us out in the business, possibly an assistant or another designer or a strategist or someone like that.
Somebody.
It feels really scary and exciting, and I know that maybe next year would be the perfect time to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I think my top goal slash bucket list item is going to South by Southwest in Austin, like the conference. It just looks like a great media conference, and like they just have so much stuff. And I've just been binging their YouTube channel, so that's one of my bucket list items, like going to South by Southwest, and as well as going to other conferences as well next year
Yeah, we have a few conferences
that we want to go to
around the globe.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Remember that you can find the Notion template down below. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode and you're feeling kind of nice, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.